What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 35 of the Block Exploring podcast. With me is Tommy, as always. And as always, this episode is not financial advice, nor should it be constructed as such. Now, the state of the market at the moment, let's get into that first. Afterwards, we're going to talk to you about metaverse tokens, which are on the rise, and a move to DAOs for as a community building tool and just as a kind of bridge between real world collaboration and metaverse collaboration. Now, this week, state of the market, very similar to the last episode, state of the market. A lot of tokens are down. Bitcoin's down 15% on the 7-day charts. So is ETH. So is basically everything. But what is on the rise is AVAX, and what is also on the rise is a lot of these metaverse kind of tokens. Also, if you look at the MVI, so the Metaverse Index token, that is also substantially on the rise this past week. So that's pretty nice to see. And I think, we see a bunch of Metaverse tokens on the rise. We see, most notably, I think, Sand and Mana.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Tommy?
Yeah, I think, especially, yeah, exactly. These projects, which are centered around uh, metaverse real estate, land plots, and what you can do with that. And what people are realizing is that these plots of land on the digital land is going to be worth a lot, especially in a project like with projects like Sandbox and Decentraland, where you can actively build build on this land. Whether in Sandbox you can build games, your own games on this plot of land, and have people come onto the land and play your game. Or Decentraland,
Yeah.
you have many companies setting up whole headquarters in there, and you can run
Hmm.
conferences, you can run concerts, you can run a shop, a decentralized, I mean, not you can run a shop in the metaverse where people can come and buy items as an NFT, but that could then be redeemable for physical item, or can come along with a physical item. And that's so there's a lot of potential that people see in the space, obviously. And now that metaverse is becoming more dominant idea or interesting investment to make, aside from what we discussed like last week with Index Co-op and the Metaverse Index, people are
Hmm.
really interested in these metaverse projects, especially right now. We see Sandbox and Decentralized Land doing really well, and I see this tweet from DCL Blogger, who's like a big NFT influencer. He tweets Sandbox, Somnium Space, Decentraland, etc. have been building for 4 years with 95% plus of their user base, and dollar growth happening in 2021. Imagine what's going to happen. Imagine they gave up in 6 months, like,
Yeah.
because like the NFT hypes died. The secret sauce is literally to stick
Hmm.
around and keep building. So I just
Yeah.
like butchered his tweet, but you get it, right? Like, they stuck at it, they
Yeah.
kept building, they clearly believe in a vision, and there's loads of people who believe in building out a metaverse, however you define it. But clearly the projects that have been doing the best have been building and are providing real liquidity. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think so for sure. Whenever I look at these metaverse tokens, right? I went into Decentraland and kind of looked at it. I've been doing that for the past 2-3 weeks. Just also talking to people on there and seeing like how they think about it. Um, a lot of people on Decentraland are just kind of new to the space because of this metaverse thing. Uh, but I think an important distinction to make is the actual utility of these metaverse kind of creations that we see, and dividing them between kind of two sectors. One is more like a gimmicky gaming sector, which I think currently, in its very early stage, a lot of these metaverse projects um, kind of find themselves in. And on the other hand, I think that the more and more that people adopt things like mana or sand, the more ubiquitous it will become, and then the more integrated into everyday life it will become, giving it more actual utility rather than a fun novelty kind of glimpse into the future esque project. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't know if I see it the same way as right now we're quite early in
Hmm.
terms of what we're able to do in these spaces. So like right now we're getting a taster of, oh, look, you can do games, and then eventually we'll be able to do this, right? I feel like
Yeah,
all these things that you people envision that they're going to be able to do in the metaverse are happening alongside each other. So there's obviously this gaming revolution that's occurring and
hmm,
doing its thing, and alongside that there's people building things like virtual galleries where you can explore, already happening. There's already
yeah.
people having metaverse concerts or metaverse conferences. So I think all these things are happening parallel to each other. And gaming, whether you think, or these, what's happening now with the gaming on these types of platforms, like, I think of it as just another tool that people can use for, social coordination, or, just because huge online communities are being built, right? And they're gonna find different things to do, and this is probably an avenue for it, right? Like, I can imagine, like, okay, so let's say a DAO or an PFP project, right? Their community, they want a digital place to hang out, right? They but and so the community has bought this land, right? And they've built an NFT art gallery on it. They can token gate it, so people with only a certain amount of NFTs, or people have to pay to enter to see this curated piece, or they can set up literally, you can set up a gambling house. You can then have a concert, right? But then simultaneously have people playing this game. So it's just like all different tools for people to use, and in their percolation, if that's the right word, is happening at the same time. In my From what I see, anyway.
No, absolutely. I do think that indeed a lot of these kind of projects and these kinds of more leisure
Mhm.
activities, I would say, are becoming more and more well accessible on these metaverse
Mhm.
projects. But what I really wonder about is things like the future of
Mhm.
like the workplace. So imagine not needing to go to work, but still wanting some sort of well, physical interaction, or at least a human kind of interaction, so that you actually see someone in a
Mhm.
certain way. I think that metaverse kind of will focus on that
For
more in the
sure.
future, and more of a collaborative platform where people can interact physically without being in the same physical room. And I think that that's just not where we are
Mhm.
at yet. With just technology, we just got to like VR gloves that actually give you
Yeah.
force feedback and allow you to feel textures and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But we really need to. I think that the tech that makes the physical experience relevant isn't there yet, or
Yeah.
isn't out yet, and that's what's holding back this move towards a more realistic approach towards this metaversification trend that we see. Whereas right now, I think a lot of people are early, and a lot of people also really enjoy
Mhm.
being there in the space and being early
Yeah.
together. And just seeing that, trying to build something, trying to be early in the game in order to, well, to learn a lot
Yeah.
before it actually
Becomes a
becomes
thing.
ubiquitous. Or
Yeah.
yeah, but I do think that the way that social interaction, or more specifically, kind of
Mhm.
community oriented projects are launching and being upheld on these metaverse projects like
Mhm.
Decentraland, that's really
It is
innovative.
innovative,
And I think that
definitely.
this DAOification
Mhm.
that we talked about in a few episodes ago, I think that that's really where it shines, because it's the most real space where a lot of people in DAOs
Mhm.
can meet. Instead of just being on the Discord, they can actually talk to each other and see their avatars, which is just a lot more real than just a
Yeah,
Discord
but
text.
yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and but that's exactly why I view them as a tool, as opposed to as like one tool, as opposed to it becoming like necessarily the gold standard of how people interact with it in the future, each other in the future. Because because I think, as you know, like I'm quite bearish on this idea that like the metaverse has to be the metaverse is defined as this like virtual world that we enter in through
Yeah.
VR and AR, then that's how we interact with people, and that's the metaverse. Because I think
Hmm.
right now what our the way that we interact with Web3 applications, and there's that like merge between physical life right now and our virtual life. Us, I believe that us interacting with Web3 tools like decentralized exchanges, participating in DAOs, using all these tools to connect with each other to create economic incentives, to create whole worlds, communities, and all that's already existing online outside of what is a world that a project has created. That already in itself, like, we are in the metaverse, we are interacting with the metaverse, we are building the metaverse. I feel like the metaverse is a much looser concept than just everyone put on VR goggles, get in, and like we can interact, right? Because I think these technologies in the long run ultimately can impact the large majority of people in on this world, right? Like, and help uplift them in
Hmm.
many ways. And ultimately, like, realistically, in the short term, I believe, or short to midterm, let's say, uh a VR headset is not going to be that accessible to the large population, to a large population of, or they might become like phones. Like, most people have phones now, like large,
Yeah.
most people
No,
have
exactly.
phones, right? And maybe VR will go in that direction, but I just don't think that's it. And we don't have to think of the metaverse as like this thing that's only going to be developed in the future, because right now the metaverse is being
Hmm.
developed in so many different ways. It's not just a world you can interact with, but it's also DeFi, it's also game of play to earn, it's also all kinds of things. So like, I feel like these worlds are just like one tool to be used amongst a bunch of other tools in the metaverse that like help ultimately coordinate people to do certain things or and such.
I think that what you see, the idea of the metaverse that I personally kind of
Mm,
subscribe to would be a move in which the majority of life happens in a digital space, or at least the majority of economic life, and this is done through kind of the digitization of the workspace, digitization of entertainment, and a lot of these factors just moving from a physical space to a digital world. I think that that's something we see, and I think we especially see it right now in the most
mm,
real way with DAOs, right? With
sure.
the
Yeah.
community aspects that
Yeah.
follow from DAOs.
But yeah. No,
And
exactly. You're right.
yeah, and I think they're also the most economically relevant um, kind of trend towards this metaverse that we're seeing, especially following the news of like the Sotheby's Constitution DAO that bid for the American Constitution, but lost the bid. But it was a win for DAOs. Yeah,
It would have been epic if they had bought it. Like, I actually thought they bought it
yeah.
because I was seeing tweets that they actually secured the Constitution, but I guess they couldn't because I don't know. I think there's a lot we have to learn about Sotheby's auctions because most of us aren't versed in
Hmm.
Sotheby's auctions. But like, but yeah, it would have been such a dub if they like, have got it. But it's an L. They took the L. That DAO took an L. But like, it was a DAO, like, overall, win for DAOs, because DAOs are now blowing up. Like, I see DAOs being created for everything, and people are talking about DAOs, and people are making a living working for multiple DAOs, which is amazing because it touches upon what you expressed, which is like, you know the workplace is changing, the way we think about working in and participating is, and our mental models for that are absolutely changing. And it's very economically relevant, because this is because I think the mental model for a DAO was a company without a CEO, essentially, right? It's just an
Hmm.
organization, autonomous organization, just a bunch of people working towards a goal. And the tooling has become so sophisticated that, yeah, most of the, like, DAOs have crazy revenue. They have huge revenue, and it's all managed in this decentralized, way through decentralized governments. All There's so many tools that make DAOs, legit, in corporations that are doing all sorts, right? But what I see is like a shift from, it being defined as, the new company, uh, to something more of like, a DAO is just a way to organize people towards a goal, and it could be anything. Like Constitution, the DAO, they got together to buy this constitution, but there are DAOs for all kinds of things. And literally, if anyone has an idea, a like a DAO is a way to, make that like idea reality. And through blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and tokens, and all these other tools, you can align incentives in economic incentives in a way that, that is beneficial to, achieving this goal. But it's also then economically, you know makes sense for the person to participate, right? Like right
Yeah,
now, because of my ideas
absolutely.
with human rights and blockchains, what I'm starting to write about, it's like, I believe, because before, like, obviously there's a huge funding problem in human rights protection, and that's mainly because, a lot of people don't feel like they can give charity, right? Or, it's mainly like, you're asking for grants, you're asking for, government grants, donations, and stuff like that, or donations from people, right? But what if, you were able to align align economic incentives to, create community owned public goods, that contribute to social goods? Why can't you create like a dex that, like the fees, then a portion of the fees goes towards, like, like some social community project, which, has been proposed by a proposal in the DAO, and it's been voted by, the community in the DAO. And, it's like so many possibilities now that, like, we can think about DAOs as more than just a company without a CEO, which it still can be, right? Because the tooling is that sophisticated. But it literally could just be clubs, clubs of people working towards
Yeah.
things. And then, like, you could literally think about the future of work as being like, can like choose to participate in any club, and you can be earning, you can be earning from different clubs even, and you don't have to be working for one person. You can be your own boss, but you're working in this collective, and you own parts of this collective. I think that's what there's a shift from, like, a mental shift from being a employee to being an
Hmm.
owner, and which is
Exactly.
very, very interesting, and something that's made possible with, community tokens and all kinds of tooling. But I think that's sick. And that's what I think is amazing, because, like, this stuff is all happening right now, and it's all digital. It's all people, on discords, communicating and making real things happen, getting into Twitter spaces and building companies. So, like, I feel like that to me screams metaverse, like that we're able to seamlessly move between different organizations that we own a part of. We're economically incentivized to work and, contribute, and we then have this community that's online, and we do things together. That to me seems like a metaverse, screams metaverse, which is, but also screams like, wow, the future of work is going to be different.
Absolutely. Very big thought, and I think I think it's a good point to kind of leave it. Let us know what you guys think about the future of DAOs and the potential application of DAOs. We're super interested in hearing your perspective of this. Of course, subscribe, join our Discord communities, and check out our socials as always. And we hope you have a really nice week. Peace.